All right, what's up, everyone? Lucas Duncan here. So I'm doing my first little podcast here, and I said it earlier. I want it to be a question and answer style podcast, but for this first episode, I'm just going to talk about myself and kind of how I got into working out and how I got into coaching people, and how I got to where I am today. And I'll be hosting this podcast with Ron, my boy Ronald Wayne, who for future episodes we'll be doing a question and answer. He'll be asking me questions, and I'll be, giving my best answers to him. Fitness-related questions, most likely. But in this episode, it's just going to be me talking about myself. I believe I'm going to title this podcast, Ask LBD. What does everyone think about that? Ask LBD. If you have any better ideas, let me know. But so when people think about a podcast, a lot of the time they think about, like a specific topic or subject or having guests on. I'm not going to do that because that's not really what I'm good at. If you gave me a topic such as like nutrition, I would just ramble on like for hours. Like I'm not good in when you just give me something to talk about. I could ramble on. I'm bad with organization in my mind, with thoughts. But I was listening to some podcasts, and they were fitness and business related. They were doing question and answers, like they had just had a co-host asking the host questions. He would answer them. And, I would listen to these, and I'd be like, man, this looks easy. Why am I not doing this? Because you got somebody asking you the questions, like Ron is going to do in future episodes. You can actually jump in on this and, like, introduce yourself with something, because you're going to be on.
I should say what's up to the people, but I'm not mic'd up.
Oh, he's not even mic'd up.
It's all good.
Okay, so in the future, I'm going to have Ron ask me questions. But yeah, anyways, I was listening to this Q&A style podcast of fitness and business people. And I was like, man, why am I not doing that? That seems like very easy to do. So once again, that's what it's going to be in the future, question and answer style. But for this one, I kind of wrote some bullet points down. Everyone who was in my live earlier and gave me topics, I appreciate it, but that was a lot of topics. And I kind of just want to talk for like 20 or 30 minutes. Maybe in the future with those, I'll answer some of those topics too, but most of those are like specific kind of questions about fitness. So this first one, like I said, is just going to be me talking about myself. Not that difficult, right? Okay, so I kind of wrote some bullet points here. What got me into working out? Well, first of all, I was born and raised in Columbia, Missouri. I'm half Greek. My mom is Greek and moved here when she was 8. So I got like the whole big Greek family in Missouri. Shout out to Columbia, Missouri. But what got me into working out? So I was always the kid who was like naturally kind of lean and muscular. I remember in like 6th grade, they were like, "Oh, you know who the dude with big biceps is and strong arms?" And they're like, "Oh, that Lucas Duncan kid." And this is like before I even picked up a weight, or I didn't even know nothing about anything. So I always honestly have pretty good genetics for working out and building muscle. But I first started working out when I was, it was like 15 or 16. I first started working out, my dad was in the basement, and I saw him lifting weights, and I wanted to join him to get stronger for football at the time. So I started in that. But what really got me going was, I think I was 16, and a girl broke up with me. One of many. No, I'm just kidding. So I went through a breakup, my first breakup ever. And I got pissed off. I was just like, oh, I'm going to get her back. I'm going to look amazing and all this, stupid stuff. So that's what initially got me into the gym, trying to get back at this chick, right? And then in the first 3 months, I remember I went from like 160 to like 195 or 200, something crazy over a summer, like over junior year. Over junior, summer, sophomore going into junior year for summer. And I gained like 30, 40 pounds. And then when I went back to school that fall, people were like, oh, man, you see that Lucas guy? He got huge. And I wasn't huge, but I was like 205, again, like 40 pounds over a 3-month period. And this was me just like, eating as much as I could, but I didn't know anything about nutrition. I was training, like one body part a day is what I did. But I also will say, I got hooked immediately because I saw quick gains. I saw good progress right away. And I also started training around people who knew what they were doing. I trained at downtown Gold's Gym in Columbia, Missouri, and I was around bodybuilders, like football players, like people who knew what they were doing. So that's why, I'm fortunate enough to have started my weight training around people who knew what they were doing. So that's why I kind of contribute my form and the way I train now. Excuse me. To being from the get-go, I was taught by people who taught me good form, don't use too much weight, concentrate on the muscle. Because I see these dudes in the gym now, it's like you're not even training the body part, dude. You're like training to impress people. You're not training to build a physique. So, as you can tell, when you give me a topic, I ramble. That's why I don't like the topic stuff. So what got me into working out? A chick broke up with me. I wanted to get back at her. I wanted to get bigger for high school football, which I did. So I started high school at like 160, and then I graduated at 280. Yes, 280 pounds senior year. Like big football player, though, not super lean. So what got me into working out was those two things, football and the breakup. And then obviously, once I saw good results and started building a physique, something else took over. Like I got obsessed. And I did my first bodybuilding show at 18 and a half. I did the Missouri State in Springfield, Missouri. So before I go into my bodybuilding little talk, a lot of people who follow me, they don't even know like I used to compete. And, I still get the questions like, oh, are you planning to compete, bro? And I'm like, I just say, Google me. Because I'm like, bro, I already did that, done that, did that. So I did my first bodybuilding show at 18 and a half. And I did okay. I think I won the teenage, and I got like third in my weight class. But basically, I did my first bodybuilding show at 18 and a half, and I went on to do 8 shows from 18 to 25. I don't want to tell you about my whole bodybuilding career because that's not really what this is about. It's more just saying, overall, my background. So I did 8 bodybuilding shows, and, I progressively got bigger, got hooked on lifting, but I was working normal jobs. I worked at, I did well, first of all, my family has a restaurant in Columbia, Missouri, Jandy Steakhouse. I worked there. I did furniture warehouse job. I did dishwashing at the Hilton Hotel. I worked at Columbia Mall Car Wash. I worked at GNC and Vitamin Shop for a while. I bounced at 2 different clubs in Missouri when I was like 17 and 18. Where else did I work? Dude, I've worked all over. But the job that, when I was 20, 21, I think, I started working at Walmart, Wally World in Illinois, actually, and Missouri. But I started working at Walmart, and, people would ask me, this is when I was huge. So you got a picture like a 200, I was like 300 pounds off season and like 250 competing. So picture like a jacked dude working in pets, paper goods, and chemicals at Walmart. So people would come up to me and they'd ask me questions, obviously workout questions. They weren't asking about pets, paper goods, and chemicals. They would ask me workout questions. And obviously, I tried to help people out as much as I could and gave my advice because a lot of people I found, were like totally lost and misled as far as working out and like what to do, what to eat, when to do cardio. I still see people do like an hour of cardio before they work out. Don't make me rant on that one. So people were asking me workout questions, obviously not Walmart questions. So I was, I kind of in the back of my mind thought, I always kind of wanted to be a personal trainer. I remember like buying the books like NASM and what's the other one? ACT, I think. Isn't it ACT? Give me some feedback, Ron. I need some feedback. ACE, not ACT. ACE. So I remember buying the books, but I never like, I never actually went into it and took the test because, I was always, I don't know, I got some sort of like social anxiety if I get to, like I remember going to jobs, like I would go to the job location, but then like park my car in the parking lot and then I'd just leave. I would never walk in. Or like I'd go to the club to meet my friends. I'd drive to the club and I wouldn't go in because I was scared. So I was always, scared of taking that step. So I never did, when I was, before then, I never did finish the test or put myself out there because I always just like to do my bodybuilding thing and, not let anyone know about it because I was in fear of being judged, basically. But it was in 2013, the summer of 2013, I was getting ready for North Americans. This when I was 23 years old. I was getting ready for North Americans, and there was a new manager at Walmart in Columbia, Missouri, who was like, my new boss, basically, who was like a younger dude. He was like mid-30s or something. He worked out, like was in good shape. And we talk about working out. And then he asked me one day, he was like, bro, why do you work here? Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, well, why are you working at Walmart? And I was like, well, I got to pay the bills. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's a job. Like, what do you want me to do? But he was like, well, why don't you do something in fitness, since that's obviously, what you're passionate about or what you enjoy. And I was like, man, I don't know. I'm just too scared to like put myself out there kind of. So this was like in June or July of 2013. So when he said that, I kind of, it put like the thought in my head to actually do something. Because at the time I was 23, working at Wally World, which is not a bad job if it's like, I know people who worked there 20, 30 years and they, good benefits and stuff. But, I don't think most people want to be working at Walmart. They want to be doing something bigger. And so did I, but I was pursuing this bodybuilding thing. So that's kind of what I told people. Like when people asked me what I did, I would say, oh, I'm pursuing bodybuilding. I didn't say I worked at Walmart. But what people don't understand is there's no money in bodybuilding. There's only really money in bodybuilding if you're like the top 6 or top 10 in the world, which I'll tell you right now, you're not going to be, okay? So don't even, you can try, but you ain't going to be it. It's like being, in the NBA, one of the top players on one of the best teams. Like, it's not going to happen. So you got to have something to fall back on. So most of these bodybuilders, they don't get money straight from competing. They have sponsorships, they do online coaching, which I'll get into that, obviously. Or, they have magazine deals, supplement deals. They're hustlers. You got to hustle. But I was just competing at the time, so I wasn't, making any money from bodybuilding. But I would tell people, oh, I'm pursuing bodybuilding when they asked me what I was doing. So anyways, the manager, he gave me this little, thought in my head. So in August 2013, the show was like in late August, and that's when, August 2013, I didn't quit Walmart yet, but I made a post on Facebook. I'll remember it like it was yesterday. Almost 6 years now. I made a post on Facebook that said, I'm now taking online clients for diet and workout consultations. Message me, email me for more info. And then I also started personal. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I didn't start personal training in the gym yet. I started online, so I made that post. And I remember my mom saying, well, as soon as you get 15 clients, and this is when my structure, my business model structure was totally different. So I was charging like a certain amount a month. I was charging $100 a month, but there was no like 8-week plan, 3, 6, 12 months. I'm sure if you're watching this YouTube or live stream or hearing this, about the 8-week plan. It's all over Instagram. No, I'm just kidding. But my structure was totally different. I just charged $100 a month. And I remember my mom telling me, as soon as you get 15 people, you can quit Walmart. And I made the post, and I got 15 people in like less than 2 weeks. And I was like, well, peace out, Walmart. I remember going to Walmart, and the lady was like, oh, I hope, or no, I didn't even give them my 2 weeks. I think I just said, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow. And she was like, oh, I hope your new job doesn't ask for referrals. And I was like, look at me now. But I'll give you a referral, buddy. But so then I started online. I got 15 people in a couple weeks. And then I started in-gym personal training too. So I did the in-gym and online when I first started in Columbia, Missouri. I was personal training at a Gold's Gym Express. And then I did the online. And, for the first couple of years, the online, I wasn't, killing it, as they say now. I was doing okay. Like, I was only doing online and personal training as, full-time career. I didn't have a side job or anything. But I wasn't really, obviously not doing what I'm doing now. But so I did them both for like 2 years. And then I want to say January 2015. Yeah, January 2015. So what's that, a year and a half into my business? It was New Year's, obviously. Excuse me. And I ran a sale, 50% off sale for like the first week in New Year's. And I got like 100 people to sign up. And I was like, holy shit, this online thing, you can, and I will cuss from time to time, so I apologize in advance. I was like, man, this online thing, this is real. This is the reals, as I call it, as I say. So I got 100 people in like a week, and I was like, man, this is for real. So I still personal trained for a little bit, but in July of 2015, I stopped in-gym personal training so I could put all my focus towards my online business and online clients where you can reach more people, get more impact, and, and just build a bigger business and reach way more people online. So this was July 2015 is when I stopped in-gym personal training, which I actually just started back up, which I'll get into in a minute. And then that same month is when, my whole life changed for the best, I guess you could say. But so at this same time, I was still bodybuilding. So I apologize if I'm rambling a little bit. So we got July 2015. I'm online training. I'm in gym personal training. July 2015, I'm online training. I just stopped in gym personal training. And I'm still competing as a bodybuilder. I'm still trying to be Mr. Olympia, But then in July 2015, I had a freak injury at the gym. I tore both my quadricep tendons. For any medical people listening, is a bilateral ruptured quadricep tendon. Basically I blew out both my knees. I couldn't walk for a month. My legs were completely straight. I had to bend them, get that flexibility back over time. But it was a horrible injury. I mean, the worst injury. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. So I couldn't walk for a month. My recovery, I think I trained legs again 5 months later. The recovery took well over a year. And, this injury still, my right knee is still, I still got to be careful with what I do. It doesn't really inhibit my leg training now, but I don't do certain exercises still. So, this changed my life 180, total 180. But I tell people now, it was a blessing in disguise, because if I didn't get hurt, I would still be pursuing my bodybuilding dreams. I maybe have my business, but I definitely wouldn't be doing this podcast, definitely wouldn't be as driven, to really work as hard as much as I can. I'd still be pursuing bodybuilding, which is, a very selfish endeavor, because you're only worried about yourself and your fitness goals. So if I didn't get injured, I'd still be doing the bodybuilding thing. And also, bodybuilding is great, but it's not exactly it's not what I would want to be doing when I'm an older person. So it was a blessing in disguise. I got injured. And then when I got injured, I focused all my energy towards my clients and my business. And I remember the next month was my best month ever. In August 2015 was my best month to date. Prior, for being in business, that August 2015 was my best month. So the month after I got injured, and that reason is because I was able to focus all my energy towards my clients instead of, doing my own workouts twice a day, my own meals and all that stuff. So that really, it was a changing point in my life when I got injured. And then, what else are my bullet points here? My bullet points. Okay, so online I took it. So I kept steadily growing for the next couple of years online. And then anyone who's knew that I always wanted to get out of Missouri. It was always my goal to get out of Missouri. I always had bigger dreams, bigger aspirations. Not to talk shit about Missouri, but you're the Midwest is you're not gonna. You got to see the world. My big thing now is I tell these young kids, say, how do I grow my fitness business, or how do I do this? I'm like, bro, you got to expose yourself to bigger things. If I could go back to when I was 20 years old and tell myself something, I would say you got to think bigger and believe things are possible. Because if you would have told me when I was 20, I'm 29 living in Miami with, thousands of clients and all this stuff going on, I'd be like, what's that? What does that mean? That's not possible. I didn't believe it. So you got to expose yourself to bigger thinkers, people who are, doing way more stuff than you and better than you. But anyway, so I always wanted to get out of Missouri, and it was January 2017. I mustered up the financial paper, the funds, and I moved to Vegas. People would say oh, bro, why'd you move to Vegas? And I'm like, I don't know, because I was finally able to. So I moved to Vegas in January 2017, and my ultimate goal was to live in Venice Beach, California, the mecca of bodybuilding, LA. But Venice Beach is super expensive. I didn't think it was possible. Okay, I didn't think it was possible to live in Venice Beach. I first visited there when I was 17. But I didn't think it was possible it just seemed so far out there, being in Missouri. So I picked the next best thing, which was Vegas. Vegas is 4 hours from Venice, 4.5 hours from Venice, from LA. And Vegas is way cheaper, and Vegas has a good fitness atmosphere. So I picked Vegas. And in January 2017, I moved to Vegas. And, I liked Vegas. It's good fitness, a lot of fitness. Obviously, there's stuff to do, but Vegas is... So at this time, I'm still just online training. So Vegas is very empty. There's not a lot of, there's just a strip, and that's really it. I lived in Summerlin, which is 20 minutes from the strip, and just a normal neighborhood, normal people. Well, not normal people, old people. I'll tell you right now, there was old people, which is fine. But yeah, it was a neighborhood, 20 minutes from the strip, and I worked from home. I was lonely, down on myself. So I wanted to get out of Vegas. So I lived in Vegas for a year, and then when I was in Vegas, I would visit Venice Beach a lot and go to Gold's Venice a lot. You know, anybody who knows bodybuilding fitness knows Gold's Gym, Venice Beach. So I'd visit Venice Beach a lot and Gold's. So in March 2018, I moved to Venice and made Gold's Gym my daily home. And this was a little over a year ago. And Venice, I loved Venice too. So you guys got to realize, like, my ultimate goal since I was 17 years old. I first visited Venice Beach when I was 17, and my ultimate goal, like, in life since I was 17, was to live in Venice Beach, California. So when I finally moved there, it would have been 11 years later when I was 28. When I finally moved there and realized that dream, I kind of was like, what now? Venice was awesome. Like, I would train at Gold's every day. I'd go on the beach. A lot of quirky people in Venice Beach. But, I would, I wasn't very motivated there either. Because I would, I was like, if you've already accomplished your life goal, why would you, be motivated to do more? And it would be some days where I would just chill on the beach and, and not even be motivated to, like, hustle in my business and stuff. So I would actually, honestly, I kind of, this is, so if you saw my post the other day on Instagram, this is when I was eating 3 or 4 times a day, eating Grubhub 3 or 4 times a day, albeit eating healthy Grubhub most of the time, but, I was lazy. I was definitely getting lazy with my own fitness and lazy with my business too. So, this is 2008, March 2018, and we're in May 2019. So I was in Venice Beach for a year. And, once again, I loved Venice, but it was kind of like my life's goal to live in Venice Beach. So once you get that, it's like, man, what more is there, So I wasn't fulfilled is the right word. So I lived in Venice, and at this time I'm still doing online, and still kind of just coasting. And then a couple months ago here, we're in Miami. I moved to Miami Beach, Florida. And, a lot of people will say now, they see me moving. I've moved 3 places the last 3 years. They see me moving. They're probably like, what is this guy doing? But why did they move to Miami? It's, because I wanted to. This is the number one reason. Lucky if I'm fortunate enough to, own my own business, work for myself. So, I could live really wherever I want to live. So I moved here because I want to move here and I want to live here. I visited Miami a few times, and Miami is awesome fitness-wise. It's awesome nightlife wise. There's stuff to do 7 days a week. Not that I do, but there is if you want to. And business wise, it makes sense too. So the cost of living is way cheaper here. I don't want to talk about. I don't think people care about this stuff, but the cost of living is way cheaper. There's no state income tax. So if you own a business and are really trying to grow, like, this is a perfect place to own a business. And you get the same amenities as LA, as Venice Beach. You can't see it because it's the other side, but my balcony, you got the beach right there. We got downtown Miami right there. This is what I call the reals. So, so I moved to Miami 2 months ago, and just recently, so I'm kind of like rambling on here. I need to kind of wrap up. This is just a little short intro, and I kind of went on several different ways. But so I just started my in-gym personal training again. It's downtown Miami at Elevation Fitness. So I'm starting in-person personal training again. Now, why am I doing that? I'm doing that kind of because I miss that human connection, that face-to-face interaction. And something I enjoy is, in-gym personal training. As well as, being in Miami really gives you opportunity to meet a lot of people. Like, I feel more motivated than ever being in Miami. I'm in Miami Beach. I'm not in Miami. Miami is across the bridge. But you're around a lot of people who are getting it done in business and in fitness. The gym I'm at is straight beast. It's a lot of competitors, a lot of people who are more advanced than I am even. So the gym scene, is very motivating. And then, in business, everyone knows Miami is, lights and glitz and glamour, and it definitely is. But, there's a lot of successful people here, and I'm way more motivated here than Venice Beach. So that's why I kind of picked Miami. I've always loved Miami. The first time I came here was 2014, and I've always had, some of my the best memories of my life have been in Miami. I competed here in Miami, actually, in the NPC Nationals in 2014. I will say, though, real quick, though, so if you ever see people comment on my Instagram or, anything about bodybuilding or, And if you see me say, "Oh, I don't want to sound cocky," but Google me. I'm being serious. Just Google my name, Lucas Duncan, and then go to images. You can see all my bodybuilding stuff. Because when I post now, I don't really bring up that I used to compete. I mean, I don't really think people care. Honestly, they just care what you're doing now. So that's why I don't really talk about that stuff. But that's basically how I got my what's the word? Credentials? Not credentials, but. Help me out, Ron. Come on. You're supposed to be my co-host, bro. So you will see more of Ron in the future episodes when we do the Q&A. But that's how I got into bodybuilding, and then that's, what gave me my knowledge, I will say. So I'm also the type of person, like, whenever I'm passionate about something, a lot of people say, oh, how'd you know how to start a business, or how do you know how to do this, or how'd you know how to work out? And I'm like, dude, if you're passionate about something. So when I was younger, literally all I would do is watch YouTube videos, research bodybuilding, nutrition, workouts. Like, that's all I did 24/7. That's all I cared about. I don't think a lot of people nowadays are passionate about something. And now, not all I do, because obviously I still, work out and into fitness and stuff like that. But I watch YouTube, business people, marketing stuff. I mean, dude, you gotta be obsessed. If you're ever trying to do anything great, you gotta be obsessed. So but I got into bodybuilding. That's kind of how I, gave me my knowledge, and then I helped people, and then you help one person, two person, and then it just snowballs. So bodybuilding, gives me my background, and I'm in Miami now, still doing my online thing. I just started in-gym personal training again, and we're going to try to put out a podcast here like once every few weeks. I just want to do this first podcast basically to say who I am for anyone who doesn't know my background and stuff. So bear with me. This is my first podcast I've done, and we're gonna film every one of them for YouTube. We're gonna live stream them all, and then they're gonna go up on all this everywhere you can find a podcast. But basically, in the future episodes, so once again, this is the first one, just me talking and rambling on about myself. But in the future, I'm gonna do just a Q&A style format, and I'm gonna have my boy Ronald Wayne, who's my videographer. You see all my videos and pictures on the IG or anywhere he does them. I'm gonna have him as my co-host, so it's gonna be two people. It's gonna be me and him, and I'm gonna take questions from Instagram and from email. So you're gonna email me or message me questions, and I'll do like a post to let everyone know. And then I'm gonna just answer questions. So the podcast is gonna be called Ask LBD. I'm gonna answer questions. I prefer fitness related, but if you want to ask something else, I am a life philosopher on the side. But yeah, so I prefer fitness-related questions, and it's gonna be a Q&A style podcast. I'm gonna try to come out with one every 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of just like I'm trying to just put myself out there on as many platforms and avenues as possible, and see what happens. So that is episode 1, and thank you for watching. If you lasted this long, if you didn't, I understand, and I'll see you next time.